Welcome back to another great episode of Lunch with Doug. I'm your host, Dangerous Doug Harper. Today on the show, we have Buster Clifton Davis, and he is a fantastic musician who is performing full-time around the area and writing songs. He's got some great tunes out there, and we're going to have him on the phone in just a minute today on Lunch with Doug. Welcome to a brand new episode of Lunch with Doug, a unique and fun experience brought to you by the creative minds here at the Music Exerbia Project. We're here today thanks to the generous support of our esteemed sponsors. Harry Frog Graphics, your go-to destination for all things graphic at 150 North Commercial Street in Nevada, Missouri. Reach out to them at 417-381-1077. Karen McNair, your friendly neighborhood nutritionist. Dial 269-267-4644 to learn about the monthly information class or to schedule a personal consultation. John's Barbershop, located at 121 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Open Tuesday through Friday. Walk-ins are welcome. No appointment needed. American Legion Post number 2, located at 402 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Newly remodeled with a fresh, clean look, gaming machines, and new smoke heaters. Open to the public. Express Printing and Hydrographics, a print shop and a commercial-grade hydro dipping facility with custom wide-format hydro film printing capability. Located at 14144 East Highway 54 at Adams Plaza. Contact them at 417-283-2005. Thank you for choosing to spend your lunchtime with me. As promised on Lunch with Doug today, I am on the phone with Buster Clifton Davis. You know him. You love him. What's up, Buster?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
What have you been up to? I mean, you're out there and you're doing it. You're living the life.
Yeah. Switched back over to full-time. Kimra, that you had on, I think, a week or two ago. She is my booking agent now. So just playing a bunch of shows and getting ready to put some more music out.
Yeah. Well, what do you got? What's the next release? Do we have a date, or are we still?
So there were some problems with my release date and everything that I had going, and I prematurely announced it, so I had to redo a few things. But my single that I just released, Home, about a little over a month ago, I am releasing the acoustic demo version of that next.
Nice. I've actually heard that tune. So,
awesome, man. Awesome.
You know, Spotify is the musician's best friend nowadays, and it actually recommended that song to me.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Popped up.
Well, I'm glad that
they're doing their job.
I'm glad that I'm glad it's picking up that way for sure. So.
Yeah. How would you describe your music?
I always describe myself as an ignorant guitar player that doesn't like doing anything else, so I keep trying to do this.
Sounds like you're winning is what you're doing. Just keep saying that, you'll keep winning.
I'm trying my best, man. As far as sound goes, I mean, I always tell everybody it's Americana country. I don't know who exactly I sound like. I get a bunch of different stuff, and none of it's ever the same. And so I never took voice lessons. I never learned how to sing the right way or do anything like that. I started singing because I needed to for a band I was in when I was like 17 or 18. So I call it Americana country. Jimmy Ray likes to call it country kana. So whatever people want to listen to, I will be that guy.
Yeah, that's really the hardest question. That was kind of loaded. It's a hard question to answer.
It really is. You're setting me off on the wrong foot, guy.
No, it's so we could talk about how your sound was so unique. See, I was driving it in here.
Oh,
you sound like you, man. There's only one you. I was actually talking to somebody the other day, and I was saying, right now, not just our region, I don't think, but I think globally, or maybe not globally, but at least nationally, we're at a real special time for new, independent artists out there doing things really with some really good music that's coming out.
Yeah,
I think there's there's just not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of control over it. They're just like letting artists be who they are. People are receiving it well, and it's going really, really good.
Yeah, social media, along with all the stuff that it's it can have some things to it, but but that's as far as a musician goes. It's kind of our lifeline now, and it helps to get the music out and really helps to kind of diversify what they're listening to. So
And I haven't stumbled on your TikTok, but I assume you're probably on there.
yeah, I'm not really good with the social media stuff. I try to be as much as possible, and it's one of my, I would say, downfalls right now is that I am not as consistent on that stuff as I need to be. Pretty well, like when I do a post on one, I do them on all really. So Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. And so especially I'm getting ready to get back in the studio here in a couple of months, and so I'm getting ready to build the YouTube page up a little bit with that. And so all four of those are going to be kind of the hot spots coming up. So
That's exciting. Very exciting. Where will you be recording at?
I record with Jeff Smith at Studio 2100 in Springfield.
Yes, I know Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's a great guy, man. He is absolutely. I've been around quite a bit. I've been in the business a long time. Whether it be playing, touring, or designing studios and all that stuff. I used to work for a company called Sweetwater. Um,
The
and
one that
so
sends candy?
yeah, that's the same one. Yeah, the same one. And so between all that stuff, I've worked with a lot of really cool people and known a lot of really cool guys. And I'll tell you, man, Jeff, as far as his experience goes as an engineer and as a producer, it's really unmatched for me. And so unless somebody comes up with something really cool, I probably won't work with anybody but Jeff for a long time.
Yeah, I have never heard anything short of fantastic from Jeff. He's awesome. And honestly, and I mean, people talk like us us people that are really in the music world. We talk about, and his name gets brought up from all. You'd be surprised. Well, you wouldn't, but the just the general public would be surprised who knows Jeff, who's worked with him, or if they haven't worked with him, they know who he is, and he's just a real respected name. And yeah, and pound for pound, not to shamelessly plug him, but I know if you're a musician in the area and you're looking for getting into doing that, his rates match. He is affordable comparatively.
Yeah, man.
The quality that you get and the experience and the technology that he has, it really is unmatched in the area.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've had, and I have a lot of buddies in Nashville. I use some Nashville guys for my record still yet. My steel player is a guy out of Nashville, and I'll do some stuff with him and everything like that as he's starting a studio up, and but yeah, I mean, I've had some big, I mean, really realistically bigger guys reach out to me from Nashville, and the rates, you can get a great record out of a lot of those guys, and but you still got to pay those rates and all that stuff, and realistically, like for the experience, like I don't believe it'll sound any better with anybody else other than Jeff, and for the rates and all that stuff, he's a guy that wants to help people get where they want to be, and also Jeff's worked with some huge names over the years, so.
You're right. There's a lot of people who have came through the area, needed to do something, and then they've worked with him, and he's got a list, a very long list of awesome accolades.
Yeah,
maybe
for it for sure.
I'm saying all this. I need to get Jeff on the show. I need to talk to him. Jeff, if you're listening,
it would be great to have on the show, man.
I want to talk to you on Lunch with Doug. Tell me about the gigs. What do we get to see in your live show in the area? One, what's coming up? And two, what do we see? What do you do? How's it?
Yeah, so I do kind of a mix of covers and originals. With the stage that I'm at, I'm playing kind of regionally right now. Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, kind of stuff like that. Looking to break into a few more states, and talking to some people about that. But with where I'm at right now, you got to pepper in the covers and stuff like that, and I'm a small artist, so people still gotta want to sing along to stuff that they know, and realistically, not everybody knows my stuff yet. So, trying to kind of find that balance between all of that, the songs people already love, and getting them to love mine. Play a lot around Springfield. I'm playing I'm playing some in Kansas this month. I've got a show set up the 13th, so in a couple of weeks with opening up for Jake Stringer. He's a bigger guy around here. He's an awesome talent, and so I'm excited for that one. That one's at Southbound in Springfield, and
nice.
Yeah, that one, southbound around Springfield has definitely been my favorite place to play lately. um, just a always good time, good crowds, and that's kind of where I get to really bring the full band out. We pull everything, pull out all the stops and everything like that. So, um, it's a big mix of some songs you can dance to, some songs that are high energy and stuff like that. But then I try and pepper in a lot of the originals in there with it. Some of them are you're able to dance to. Some of them I always tell everybody I'm more of a songwriter than I am anything else. Um, and so that's that. I try and make sure that even a drinking crowd, we get to hear some of those tunes as well, even if they might be a little deep for just a Friday night drinking crowd kind of thing. Sometimes it's you got to find the good spots in there for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that Southbound bar, that's a cool place.
It's awesome, man.
And
Jody and Michael do an awesome job with that place.
that's a really good place to see a show if you're in the Springfield area. Would you say you're playing that the 13th, December 13th?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the 13th, opening up for Jake Stringer.
Yeah, and Jake Stringer is awesome.
He's on.
He's good. That's a good combo, man. That's going to be a good show.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely put it on your calendar, save the date, and get to Springfield. There's a lot of good things happening there, for sure. And where you said you were playing over in Kansas? Where are you playing at Kansas?
Yeah. So in Kansas, I am playing at maybe that's next month or the month after. I don't. So like I said, Kimra is booking for me now, and if you know anything about musicians, you know that I'm. We're not always the most organized of crowds, and I'm the staple of that. So I Kimra keeps my calendar for me, and I get to look at it at a week at a time and just plan my week off of that. So, but I played this past weekend at a place called Bricks and Brews. So still doing a lot of like solo gigs and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm playing full time now, so gotta make sure that we get those, fill the dates and all that stuff. So doing a lot of solo stuff. And so one's in Baxter Springs, playing around Pittsburgh, I believe, some, and then up around Frontenac and Kansas City. So kind of a few places around in there.
Boom. Yeah, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
I bet I'm going to guess she's got you playing up at Tin Roof in Kansas City, probably.
I know that we have talked a little bit about that. I know I'm playing up at Laney's this month.
Oh, Laney's. That's a cool place. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard really cool things about it. So I'm playing up at Laney's, and then going down to Baxter Springs for I think it's Red Ball in Baxter Springs.
I'm not sure what's going on up there.
Yeah, it's
That
like I said,
that might be a newer place, is it?
I am not sure. I've never played there before, so I know it's one of Kimmer's contacts, and so she set me up with them, and they decided to let me come make some noise for them.
Well, they made the right decision. That's good.
I appreciate that.
They made the right decision. All right, tell us about your top 5 songs that you've written that you think are like the best ones you want people to go to and listen to, check you out. What are they? Tell us about them.
Yeah, so that's easy because right now on Spotify under my name I only have 3. So, so Relapse is the first one that I released under my name. I've done some albums in the past under some different bands, and done some session work and whatnot in the past, but under Buster Clifton Davis, Relapse was the first one that I did. It's done really well. It's just kind of that tale as old as time that you keep going back to the girl you shouldn't keep going back to kind of thing. But it was kind of the song that kicked off this whole idea because when I moved back to Missouri, I actually had sold all my gear and kind of given up on doing music, and but I kept writing and playing a couple acoustic gigs here and there, just and playing for buddies and whatever. But I wrote Relapse in about 15-20 minutes, and it was just a riff that started it, and wrote it, and I was like, man, that's a good song. And I showed a couple of guys and met a couple of guys, and Jimmy Ray is one in particular that he ended up producing and drumming for me on all this stuff. And that was one. He's like, man, that's a tune. And so we got some guys together, and that's what kicked it off. So that was the first one I released. And then Old Dad is another one. It was my second release. That's a tune I wrote for my dad um, a long time ago. When I lived in 4 or 5 years ago, when I lived in Fort Wayne, and it's just a tune about stories that my dad told me, trying to make sure that you know, as dads do, just trying to make sure that they're trying to make you the best man that you can be. And so that's where that one came from. And then there's another one, Home, like I said, that you said that you'd listen to there. That one was also written back in Fort Wayne when I was getting homesick, right before I moved home. And so, really proud of all three of those. I've got a couple of more coming out right now from all of this, and I've been writing a lot since then. So, um, those three right now are what everybody can check out on Spotify.
Cool, for sure. Yeah, I think Home and Relapse, I think, also was recommended to me. I think I've heard both of those tunes.
Awesome, man. Yeah,
And
yeah. Like I said, Relapse has done really well. I'm proud of it for sure.
the other one might have popped up in somewhere too, but
Hmm.
I don't recall. I don't recall pushing the play button, so I apologize. I haven't heard the other one, but I will listen to it today
Yeah, absolutely.
for
That one's
sure.
definitely. I mean, Home and Relapse kind of have a similar feel to them. Old Dad is a little bit more of a what I would consider more of a country song.
Yeah.
Like it's got kind of the 6/8 feel to it, the steel and everything like that. They've all got steel on them, but it's kind of got more of that classic country steel that you hear from some of those tunes.
Nice. Now, do you play that, or who plays the steel for you?
So I have my buddy Phil Bronstein out of Nashville. Really, really solid guy. He's a session guy, and uh, he played steel for um, some of my favorite artists like Pony Bradshaw. He was on tour with Chase Rice for a few years. Um, so he's just an unreal talented guy. So he's playing steel on all my stuff, and will continue to do so.
Does he doesn't play with you live though, right? Just on the
Nope, he
sessions.
doesn't play with me live. Yeah, he's out of Nashville and has his own stuff going there. But and anytime I can use him on a record, and he's that way for a lot of artists. I know that I've talked to Pony Bradshaw about it, and um, we were talking about Phil, and he's like, man, he said, anytime I go in the studio, he said, we're calling Phil, and pretty well the same for me. So
Yeah, yeah. Getting a good steel player is it's a trick sometimes. It really
it
is.
is I mean, it's a tough one. It's a lost art these days. There's not as many guys out there
You
trying
know,
to pick it up. And
if you need a guy around here, you know Johnny Rose out of Joplin.
I don't actually know.
Johnny is fantastic. That guy can do. He can play steel. He can play mando. He can play guitar. He's awesome. And you've always heard the stories about Gary Rosington when he lived in the Joplin area. You know, the guy that played
Yeah.
for Leonard Skinner. And he had a
Hmm.
band. He had a local band up there. And it's a true story. But you go to Joplin and you hear all these these folklore about, oh yeah, I was in the band with Gary, blah 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 blah, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure some people were, some people weren't, some whatever.
Yeah.
However, Johnny, on the other hand, he told me, he was like, oh yeah, it was Frog Lily was the name of the band that Gary was in at the time, and Johnny played with him. Well,
That's
Johnny,
awesome.
it was amazing because not that I didn't believe him or nothing like that, but Johnny produces me a CD. He's like, here's a CD, and I was like, what's this? And he's like, this is me playing with Gary Rosington on the radio.
That's unreal, man.
he produces the work, and then he's like, he played with Frankie Avalon when Frankie Avalon came through town. And he's like, yeah, I played with Frankie Avalon at Memorial Hall when he did his gig in Joplin. And I was like, that's cool, Johnny. And he goes, here's the YouTube link. That's
Oh my
me.
gosh.
I was
Because he
like,
knows
yeah.
he's like, there's plenty of guys that are gonna say this. I've got to have something to
He's
back
like,
it up
I'm
here.
really young, but that's me. It was
Is how old is Johnny? I'm trying to think if I'm
oof.
due to know him.
He's getting up there. I'd say he's probably in his 70s.
Okay.
But he's very youthful for a 70-year-old guy, and he's
Yeah.
very fun. He is very cool. But yeah, you oughta hook up with him because he's really really
Yeah.
cool. He's a really cool guy.
Oh
And
yeah. I might have you send me his contact from because I'm always looking for steel guys. I mean, Jake's got his guy. He plays guitar for him in steel, and I've talked to him quite a few times about playing for me. And but Jake just does so much, and those guys are so busy that it's any good steel player. is going to be pined over. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Johnny's cool. Hey, he might even be listening. Johnny, if you're listening, hook up with Buster. Okay, there you go. So, sorry I got off on that, but I know how difficult it is sometimes to find the people that do that, and he would be
for sure, I'll
great.
pine over a steel player any day, man.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I've never had steel player on my records at all, but I was like, I would like to have Johnny. He's just kind of cool.
It's additive, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. He can do slide guitar. He can do whatever. And the licks that when he does the Skinner licks, it's so real. Like it's like
Yeah.
I'm like, gosh, it sounds just great. And he's got one. He's got the guitar for it. He'll have the right guitar, the right amp. He's very particular about
Gear
making it
savvy, yeah.
just right. So you gotta love that. So yeah,
Very much.
yeah. So yeah, tell me more about like where you said you moved back to Missouri. So what were you doing before you got back in that you were playing, but you were
Yeah,
there?
yeah. So when I was, I moved. So I'm originally from Ava, Ava, Missouri, small town about 45 minutes east of Springfield. Um, and so when I was, man, I'd barely been out of Missouri at this point, but I had a band reach out to me from Detroit when I was 19 or 20. Um, and they were like, "You want to come tour?" I was like, "Well, yeah." And I didn't know what that looked like. I just honestly, I packed up my car and drove 13 hours to Detroit, and uh, about halfway there, I was like, "What the hell am I doing?" Um, but it worked out. Lived on a bus with four dudes for a year and toured. Got to see a bunch of the country. I think we did like somewhere around 26, 28 states on that tour, and yeah, it was just kind of a baptism by fire into the road life, and I loved it. The end of that one fell apart, as bands do. A couple of band fights and uh, trying not to punch each other in the face, and kind of fell apart. And I was so that fell apart. And once that did, I came back to Missouri for about a month. I was like, man, I was like ready to be home yet. And I had met some people at Sweetwater, and so got a job up there as a sales engineer. Did that for a little bit, and started a band up there. Named it after my nieces. It was called Scarlet Joe, and so we did a record together. Played a lot of local shows and stuff, and um, great experience, great guys. It's an awesome company to work for, and loved it. And then went to work for a sister company of theirs, and I basically just traveled around and designed like studio systems, live sound systems, and stuff like that. All the while, still playing with this band. And then just got to the point, about 3 years ago where I was getting homesick, 3.5 years ago, where I was getting homesick, and all my buddies up there were kind of settling down and finding, girlfriends and wives and having kids and stuff. And I was just like, I was not there. And so I decided to move back. And I was like, well, maybe I'll have that back home and that'll be easier that way. So sold all my stuff, came back. Um, and over the last few years, just kind of started writing again. And I was like, well, shoot, like this is the best stuff that I've ever written. So I need to do something with it. And met some guys down here, and that's how it all came about, and has all been happening over this year.
Nice, nice. That's exciting. Yeah, you just can't give up. You know, good stuff.
It's
You do
yeah,
it. Change. You just change it, modify it. You might actually be at the best place ever. You know what I mean? You might have all those experiences added up to make what's happening. You know.
that's really what I've come to believe about it, because yeah, it's I've had a lot of cool opportunities that at the time I couldn't see as cool opportunities, and didn't really grab onto them. And so I'm kind of at a point now where it's like I had some cool opportunities, and awesome people that have really wanted to help me along the way, like Jeff, like Jimmy, the guys I've used in the studio, Stevie Newman, Lane and Rolf, and just it's kind of all fallen into place, man. The guys that I play live with, um, all of it, and so it's been really cool to kind of finally recognize the opportunity that's in front of me and be making the most out of it. So
Yeah. You just said Stevie Newman was in your band?
he's on my record. He played on my record.
Oh, I love that guy. He's fantastic.
Stevie is a hoot, man. One of the best guys. He's one of my best buds. So, uh, yeah, he's a phenomenal guitar player and just a dork, but the best guy to hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've met him maybe once in person. Mostly I think it's
Hmm.
just like seeing his stuff on Facebook. We're like Facebook friends, and we have a lot of
Yeah,
mutual friends. So I tend to see his stuff and stuff a lot and different things. But
yeah.
yeah, I didn't realize that he was on your record. That's awesome. That's
Oh
very
yeah, I mean
cool.
he's phenomenal. And yeah, if you ever get to catch one of his shows, I mean him and Cliff Boone is another guy I use for guitar a lot, and they play in a band together, a couple of bands together. And I mean, if you get to see one of their shows, they're awesome.
Yes. I think I've seen a video clip of those guys together. And it
No, they're
was
phenomenal.
what I remember was pretty cool. And I think it was just I don't even think it was a real show. I think they were just like kind of messing around maybe at like a jam session or something.
Oh,
But
possibly, yeah.
so they were just like, it was totally unrehearsed, just happening organically, and it was really fantastic.
Honestly, that's about the way they play, man. They can feed off of each other, and both of them are such good guitar players, and they just, are so familiar with the fretboard that if they need to go somewhere, they know where it is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's great to have when you go to the studio, have somebody like that that's just like,
Oh yeah.
okay, well, I'm just going to try this. And then
Hmm.
you're like, wow. They they
Yeah, I
just
think I threw the tune at them, and we had like two run throughs on those tunes, kind of trying to come up with parts, and a lot of that stuff Stevie was doing in studio, so he's just like on the spot.
very good. That is very cool. That I like that though. I like those three takes.
Hmm.
They're like you'll have the magic. Like a lot of times you'll have the one or two, and then you'll say, okay, those are. You listen back, and you're like, that was great, and then you'll listen to your favorite one. You're like, well, what take was that? And then the engineer's like, that was the first one. And you're like, that's the best one. Like out the
That's the way
chute.
Jeff likes to do it for that reason. Yeah, it's just a very organic way to record.
Yeah. And you're like, what? Well, I liked the first one. Like, it's great. So
Yep, that's where the
surprising.
magic's at.
So, and that fourth take's never. It's just like it's the
Yeah, everything's
black
out of
sheep.
tune and missed
Yeah.
note.
What happened on fourth? Try not to remember that one. No.
Yeah, yeah, we trash those.
Now Jeff's studio is right there on. It's South Street, right? Still, that's where it's been.
It is. I'm trying to remember. I know it's off of North National.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm trying to remember
And
what the crossing street is there,
I
but
thought
yeah, it's
he
on North
I
National.
thought he
Yeah.
used to be right there on South Street, but he may have moved too. If I'm thinking of the right studio, it's like a number, studio number something, right?
20. Yeah, it's 2100. Yeah, as the studio, and that might be why. I honestly am not sure. I just know it's off of North National there. So it's kind of unsuspecting there. You come up on it, and then you go in there, and you're like, especially as a guy that used to design studios, I walk in there, I'm like, oh, this is legit studio. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a dude's garage or anything like that. That there's some great studios that have been set up that way, and you can get some great recordings. But no, I mean, he's just, he knows what he wants. He knows what sound he wants, and he's got it set up exactly the way it's as professional as a studio around here I've seen.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think I've been in there. It's been a long time ago, but I was in
It's a
there
great
once
spot,
or
yeah.
twice. I never have recorded with him, but talked to him a number of times about different things and stuff.
Yeah.
Cause
It's yeah, absolutely worth it, man. It's like I said, he's got magic ears.
yeah, for real. Well, that's cool. I didn't know that either. That's the one bad thing about the streaming platforms that you don't always get the liner notes that you used to get, in the
Hmm.
albums. So you don't always catch who's on the record or who's
Yeah, you gotta
making.
search for that stuff.
So yeah, that's tricky. And I've gotten lazy in my old age. I used to be real meticulous about having all that stuff, written down, and then you get life goes so fast and you don't write it down, and it,
Hmm.
in your head, you
Oh yeah.
remember, but there's no, thing about that somewhere, so it's hard to find. But it's really interesting when you get in an area like us, since it's so close to home. Springfield to me is like my backyard basically. So I know a lot, even if I don't really know them like real well. You still know kind of who they are, what they've been involved in, and different things. So it's interesting to hear, who's doing what, because you know them. And
you always get kind of those connecting relationships there.
And sometimes you can hear it. There's certain players that you can hear, and you're like, I think that's but
Stevie's one of them, man.
Yeah. So you're like, yeah, okay, there it is. But that's pretty fun. So, well, man, I got long-winded with you, Buster. That's a good thing.
Not a problem at all, brother. If you don't shut me up, I won't. So,
is there anything else you want to tell us, or tell listeners about what's coming up or what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I've got new merch dropping here soon, with the cover or with the artwork from home. Like I said, I've got the acoustic demo of that dropping soon. Be watching for the next few months of. I'm gonna go back in the studio, and we're doing some really cool things. It's gonna be it'll all be filmed and everything like that. We're gonna be doing a live album, and so all the same songs that I've been releasing, all just live, and then a few bonus ones. So, basically just follow me on social media, keep up with all that stuff. It's Buster Clifton Davis on all the platforms. That's the biggest help for me right now. So just like that stuff. Check it all out and stream the stuff on Spotify as you find it and like it. And that's the biggest help for me right now, yeah.
For sure we'll do that. We have a Lunch with Doug playlist on Spotify, so I'll make sure to put you on that. So if you're listening...
Oh, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that.
I don't push it enough. It's out there, but just for the listeners, if you guys want an easy way to find some of the artists we've been talking to on the show, just click that, and you'll find it and play away.
Awesome, man. I'll push it on there, too.
Well, man, thanks a lot for being on the show and spending lunch with me today.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I wish you the best of luck, man, and hopefully I'll get to come see you soon.
Heck yeah, man. Absolutely. You too, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, man. There you have it, folks. That was Buster Clifton Davis. Check out his music on the Spotify or Apple iTunes, or go see him live coming up at one of those great live shows we talked about. Thanks again for spending your lunchtime with us today here on Lunch with Doug. Lunch with Doug, a unique and fun experience brought to you by the creative minds here at the Music Exerbia Project. We're here today thanks to the generous support of our esteemed sponsors. Harry Frog Graphics, your go-to destination for all things graphic at 150 North Commercial Street in Nevada, Missouri. Reach out to them at 417-381-1077. Karen McNair, your friendly neighborhood nutritionist. Dial 269-267-4644 to learn about the monthly information class or to schedule a personal consultation. John's Barbershop, located at 121 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Open Tuesday through Friday. Walk-ins are welcome. No appointment needed. American Legion Post number 2, located at 402 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Newly remodeled with a fresh, clean look, gaming machines, and new smoke heaters. Open to the public. Express Printing and Hydrographics, a print shop and a commercial-grade hydro dipping facility with custom wide-format hydro film printing capability. Located at 14144 East Highway 54 at Adams Plaza. Contact them at 417-283-2005. Thank you for choosing to spend your lunchtime with me.